Hi, and welcome to Seattle's #1 comic book podcast, the podcast that is dedicated to the first issue of your next favorite comic. And I'm Larry, and I'm here alone at Christmas. And I've been left alone, home alone at Christmas. James is on vacation in beautiful, I've seen the pictures, New Zealand with his family. And I wish him a Merry Christmas. And James, I got the socks. Thank you very much. I love them. And so I'm just going to rap about a couple of holiday issue comics that I've read and reread more than one time. Lots of Christmas cheer at my house. My wife is baking upstairs, and I'm going to be rapping about some comics. First of all of these comics are available on Comixology. Some of them are going to be... this first one is Night of the Living Dead. It's a holiday special. And it's exactly what you would want from a holiday special zombie. What is the setup? The setup is simple. The setup is very simple. There are older than teenagers, family and friends, staying in a cabin over the weekend, the long holiday weekend. There's a family secret, and there's zombies. Lots of zombies, lots of violence, lots of gore. And if you've seen this movie before, running, don't get stuck outside. It's a survival story of, I don't know, it's surviving the holidays. How about that? Surviving the holidays. Night of the Living Dead style. It was written by Mike Wolfer, and it was $1.99 on Comixology. I've got the physical copy in front of me, and it's pretty tore up. 22 pages, and it came out in 2010, and it's graphic violence and lots of nudity and so much fun. The art is fantastic. The story, the setup, the mystery, I love all these Night of the Living Dead comics, and this one didn't let me down. There's a Santa Claus that that gets part of his face chopped off. So check it out. That's Night of the Living Dead holiday special from 2010. So the train keeps rolling here. It's a holiday train full of comics. My next comic comes from Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire, we've done several of his comics on the show. I love everything that Jeff does. And this, while it's part of an ongoing story, is the Christmas issue. And Christmas is never mentioned in this issue, but it's Sweet Tooth, issue number 18. And this must have come from maybe 2005 or something. It's been out for a while. But if you're not familiar with the world of Sweet Tooth, it's an apocalyptic story. There's some more Christmas joy. It's an apocalyptic story of a world where a plague has killed just about everybody and has given rise to hybrid people with animal features, some more than others. And our main character is a young boy who has antlers, and his name is Gus. Now, the reason I picked this book is this isn't a story you could just jump right into, but this one issue really carries a lot of, you almost could just enjoy this issue as a one shot. And the reason I say that is it's got a lot of it's told in a it's got a lot of less comic book and more storybook. So there's a lot of words in here. There's a good setup. You get the idea of all the characters, all of the different players. You understand that they are moving the story along with this stopping issue. Now this issue stops when the band, there's 4 or 5, there's like 3 or 4 of the hybrid children, 3 humans, 4 humans, and they're all trekking to the next adventure, to the next phase of, to the next destination on their trek. I'll just leave it at that. And the book gives you all of that. It gives you all that information. But in this particular one, they have to stop. It's wonderful because they stop at a defunct old mall. And they have to get winter clothes. So this mall is obviously deserted because of the plague and and all of the awfulness that happened there. And it's scary. And they go into the mall and they get, there's some back and forth with the humans, and I won't go into all of that, but they go into the mall and they get new clothes. And and none of the little kids have ever had new clothes. They didn't know what a mall was. They didn't know that that new clothes could even exist. So it's really sweet. So it's kind of a Christmas story. And then they also get sleeping bags and a tent. What a great gifts at Christmas, right? And then while they're because it's become too dark, and the leader of the group, his name is Jessup. He is rough. Oh, he is rough. He's a rough dude. And the reason they stop, it's too dark for them to go on, so they stay in their tents, and it's a wonderful night. But the best thing happens when they wake up in the morning, and it is snowed. It's snowed a foot deep, and one of the little boys had never seen snow, so it's just super magical for him. And then they have a snow fight, and Gus, who has had his entire life sheltered, you find that out in the beginning of the books. This is a great run on comics. It's 47 issues, just by far probably my favorite run on comics. So there you go, Sweet Tooth. But the magic of the next day with the snow and the children in their new clothes, it's just a wonderful Christmas story. And nothing terrible happens, but you know that it's all on the... It hooks you from... it just hooks you. So, again, it's $1.99 on Comixology. But you should just buy the trades and enjoy all of them. But this one is issue 18. But if you want to see what Jeff Lemire's art looks like, we've talked a lot about Jeff Lemire's art. And if you also want to know what Sweet Tooth is all about, this one issue kind of really just brings it all home. Issue 18, Sweet Tooth. Check it out. All right, we got to keep going on and on and on and on and on with the comics. My third and final, but not final, because I'm gonna get into some more comics later on my own time. But maybe I'll talk about them next week in another solo show. I don't know when James is coming back. Maybe I'll get another guest host. Oh, and thanks again for Ryan for helping me last week. I meant to thank him at the beginning of the show. Thank you very much, Ryan. If you didn't listen to last week's show, it was fantastic. We had a fun time with Ryan. All right, so third holiday book. Now, this one is from a collection from The Goon by Eric Powell. Came out in 2003. And this collection is called Nothing But Misery. And it's collected, so I don't know what issue it is. I know that The Goon came out in single issues. And so this is a holiday issue, and it doesn't have a title. It just has some fantastic, there's a fantastic cover page by Eric Powell where it's done in a Norman Rockwell style. And The Goon, let me explain The Goon. The Goon and his partner Frankie, the Goon is a great big bruiser, kind of set in like in the 30s or late 20s. You know, this comic sets that place, but this comic isn't set in reality. Real in the world, but in this world there are zombies, monsters, magic. Now the Goon doesn't have any of that. He is just a big bruiser who loves nothing more than giving gifts at Christmas time and punching out zombies and monsters. And that's what he's doing throughout this comic. And but this Norman Rockwell take is so freaking cute. So the Goon, who is in like a kind of a worker man's leather apron and a red vest, has fallen asleep. These creatures are destroying all of his Christmas gifts that he looks like he was getting ready to wrap or putting them in a bag or something. So there's one creature that's pouring just giant like blood red paint on the face of this cute little teddy bear, and then like there's another creature that has a gun to like the sleeping Goon's head, and it's so funny. It's so funny stuff. But so we start this story with two little kids who are writing their letters to Santa and waiting for all of their gifts, and there's a knock at the door, and there's funny jokes throughout this. This is probably going to be my highest recommendation out of these three books. There's joke after joke after joke, and it's probably the most approachable comic, to tell you the truth, that maybe you could read this with a young nephew or something. You know, like a kid could read this and enjoy it. There is some adult humor, but lots of fun jokes and lots of color. Oh, this is so colorful. And so these little kids are getting ready for Christmas. They got all of their letters in the works. Their wishes are happening, but it's not Santa at the door. It's a creature, and they get sucked out the window by this creature. Now we cut to the Goon and Frankie getting ready to go to the Christmas party at Norton's Bar. That's where they love to go and hang out. And they have a carload of presents. Tons and tons of presents. So many presents that they're falling off the car. When they like swerve and hit some zombies that are frozen alongside the road. And the zombies just shatter. So it's just super fun comics. They get to the holiday party, and Frankie. Here's a quick aside. Frankie is just a shyster. He's a bad guy. His favorite joke to the monsters or the bad guys is knife in the eye. He thinks it's a gag. So he makes a deal with a little kid who's got a Captain Weirdo Junior Spaceman helmet, and Frankie swindles him out of the helmet by trading him a severed pig's head. We don't see that. He makes the deal, but eventually later on we see Frankie with the helmet on. It's so funny. The Goon's girlfriend. Now the Goon is huge. I mean, he's just standing there. He just looks like a old timey boxer with scars on his face, and his hands are bigger than his hands are like the biggest part of him. He's just huge. The party is interrupted by a mother who is looking for her two lost children, and that puts the Goon and Frankie and a morphine candy-eating werewolf named Merle into action, and they ride Earl, who they get the sniff from, who gets the scent from the little kid's toy teddy bear, and they chase after these kids. They're going to find them on Christmas Eve, and they do. Well, they find trouble.